Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine we're taking a snapshot of the world, frozen in time, say July 28, 2025. What are you seeing? What are the biggest stories kind of shaping our planet right now? Our mission for this deep dive is, well, to get right to the heart of the most important global headlines. We want to pull out those essential nuggets of knowledge so you can get informed quickly, without feeling totally overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I think the real value here is looking beyond just the individual headlines. It's about seeing how these events, which might seem unrelated, actually fit together. Understanding those connections, those patterns, that's really key to grasping what's actually happening globally.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it. Geopolitics first. High-stakes stuff. We had U.S. President Donald Trump speaking from Scotland, and he dramatically shortened that earlier deadline for Russia.
Yeah, the one regarding the invasion of Ukraine. It was 50 days, wasn't it?
It was, and he cut it right down, just 10 to 12 days. And he warned about possible further sanctions, maybe secondary measures if they don't comply.
Wow. What's really striking there is just the speed, you know? But it's also about the strategic leverage they're trying to create, a window that tight, 10, 12 days. It forces an almost immediate response, doesn't it? It puts the pressure squarely on Russia, but it also tests the unity of allies.
Yeah.
Are they ready to back that kind of ultimatum? It's a high-stakes gamble, really. Could break the stalemate or, you could expose some cracks.
So maybe less about the deadline itself and more strategic play.
Yeah.
To force everyone's hand.
Precisely. It's like accelerating the whole diplomatic chess game.
Okay. And while that's unfolding, there's another active conflict zone heating up, an intense border clash between Cambodia and Thailand. It escalated quite a bit since July 24th and apparently peaked right there on the 28th, though they declared a ceasefire at midnight.
Ceasefire is one thing, right?
Yeah.
We got this really contentious detail. Cambodia is accusing Thailand of using chemical weapons. Yeah, and Bangkok is flatly denying it, of course. But an accusation like that, it just fundamentally erodes the trust you need for any peace to hold. The argument isn't just about the border anymore, it's about credibility. Makes real de-escalation so much harder.
Right. That accusation must make the ceasefire feel incredibly fragile.
Extremely fragile, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge obstacle to any kind of genuine resolution.
So with all these global flashpoints demanding attention, how are nations actually preparing, defensively speaking? What's happening in European defense, for example?
Well, that's interesting, too. Brussels just unveiled these big plans. We're talking $17 billion for military-ready upgrades.
$17 billion. For what exactly?
Transport infrastructure, roads, rail, The motivation seems pretty clear, making sure troops can mobilize quickly across the continent, especially with the rising tensions with Russia, and also just dealing with some outdated infrastructure.
So this isn't just patching potholes. This is strategic.
Oh, absolutely. The $17 billion, it's not just modernization. It's a direct reflection of Europe's kind of security awakening post-Ukraine. For decades, a lot of European countries underinvested in this stuff. So this push, it's about building the actual physical backbone for a rapid response, kind of remilitarizing parts of their logistics networks to counter potential threats. It's a visible commitment.
So they're really building for the future, not just reacting to the present?
Exactly. It's a long-term investment in military agility. Makes sense.
Okay, and to round out this geopolitical picture, the U.S. Navy, they revealed an updated global deployment map. Showed where all their strike groups and amphibious-ready groups were worldwide as of the 28th.
Yeah, and that's not just an interesting map for enthusiasts. It's a real-time strategic chessboard. Seeing those specific deployments on July 28th gives you a direct look at where the U.S. Navy sees potential threats or needs a strong presence. If there's a heavy concentration somewhere, say the Pacific, it signals focus there. Or maybe if groups are held back, it suggests readiness for unforeseen flashpoints. It's dynamic.
Almost like a strategic weather map for global security, then.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. It gives you a sense of where the storm clouds might be gathering.
Okay, so against that whole backdrop of geopolitical moves, how's the global economy taking it all? There was a pretty major development. That U.S.-EU trade deal got finalized.
Right, that finally came through.
Key terms seem to be a 15% tariff on most EU exports heading to the U.S., and also commitments for the EU to invest pretty significantly in U.S. energy sectors. And apparently this is already helping calm some market uncertainty.
Yeah, this deal, it's definitely more than just a simple trade agreement. That 15% tariff, that's a recalibration, right? Trying to protect some domestic industries. But the other side, the EU investment in U.S. energy, That directly tackles energy security concerns that have been, really heightened recently. So it signals a kind of strategic realignment between these two huge economic blocs, aiming for stability in a volatile world.
So it's about energy strategy and maybe supply chains just as much as trade balance.
Exactly. It's about trying to insulate both economies from future shocks.
And the market reaction was immediate?
Oh, yeah. Equities climbed globally pretty much straight away.
NASDAQ and S&P futures, they were up around, what, 0.4%?
Yeah, about 0.4%, and the Dow Jones maybe 0.1%. We also saw some related moves, things like AI chip collaborations getting attention, and the US dollar got stronger.
Interesting. So what does that rapid reaction tell us?
Well, it's fascinating how quickly markets process certainty, isn't it? Even if the deal itself isn't perfect for everyone, that jump, 0.4%, sounds small, but it represents, billions flowing into what's seen as stability. And the stronger dollar suggests investors see the U.S. as a relative safe haven post-deal. Shows some confidence, maybe?
So less about the specific numbers, maybe, and more about a collective investor's sigh of relief.
That's a great way to put it. Markets just hate uncertainty. And this deal, well, it reduced some of that.
Okay, now let's turn to some really pressing humanitarian concerns. The situation in Gaza, it seems to be deepening, with allegations of starvation and aid agencies warning about famine conditions.
Yeah, and this is where you see a really critical point of divergence. You have the U.S. president publicly stating there's real starvation happening. But that directly contradicts denials from Israeli PM Netanyahu. That difference, it puts immense pressure on diplomacy, on aid organizations. It highlights the huge challenge of just agreeing on the reality on the ground, which you absolutely need for effective aid delivery. Makes coordinated action incredibly difficult.
So it's not just a difference of opinion, it's like a fundamental disagreement on the actual crisis itself.
Precisely. And that just makes a humanitarian response infinitely more complicated.
And complicating it further, despite Israel apparently pledging temporary pauses for aid, there were reports of new airstrikes killing more civilians in Gaza.
Yeah, and that reveals this tragic disconnect between stated intentions and what's actually happening. Announcing pauses is one step, but if airstrikes continue and civilians are killed, it raises serious questions about how feasible or effective those pauses really are. It just underscores the immense challenge of conflict zones, distinguishing targets, protecting civilians, even with stated good intentions.
So promises of aid pauses don't always mean immediate safety on the ground.
Unfortunately, no. The reality in active conflict is often far, far more complex than policy statements suggest.
Okay, shifting focus now, but still tragic news. There was a mass shooting, this time in a hookah lounge on Providenciales Island. That's in Turks and Caicos.
Yes, horrific event. 3 people dead, 10 wounded.
And authorities are still searching for suspects, right?
They are. And this happening in Turks and Caicos, a place people often think of as, tranquil, a tourist spot. It's just a stark reminder, isn't it? How sudden, profound violence can hit any community. It often points to underlying issues, maybe, illicit activities, regional instability spilling over unexpectedly. It shatters perceptions very quickly.
Yeah, it really shatters that idea of a completely safe paradise, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Leaves the community dealing with shock, vulnerability.
And finally, let's just touch on a global health spotlight from July 28th. It was World Hepatitis Day.
Right. And experts were emphasizing the early signs of hepatitis B, things like jaundice, fatigue.
Why is that day and that message still so important?
Well, World Hepatitis Day isn't just, marking a date. It's a vital push for early diagnosis. That's critical for Hep B because many people carry it for years with no symptoms. So raising awareness of those subtle signs, jaundice, fatigue, is crucial. And prevention through vaccination, safe practices. It means this is a disease where public health action really makes a difference globally. It's a reminder that sometimes the simple measures have the biggest impact.
So it's a good reminder that global health isn't just about the newest threat, but also these persistent, preventable diseases.
That's a critical point, yeah. We can't lose sight of those long-standing challenges that still affect millions.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean? We've just taken this deep dive into one single day, July 28th. We've gone from high-stakes diplomacy, economic deals, to these awful humanitarian crises and public health. You can really see the sheer breadth, the depth of what's unfolding across the globe just in 24 hours.
Yeah, and what this snapshot of the 28th really shows, I think, is how interconnected everything is. A trade deal hammered out in Brussels impacts investor confidence in New York almost instantly. Diplomatic deadlines set in Europe cast this long shadow over aid efforts in the Middle East. You should consider how these events, they don't just happen next to each other. Often, they happen because of each other. They're constantly shaping what comes next.
So, as you move through your day, maybe ask yourself, how do these headlines fit into your understanding of the world? And maybe, what's one thread here that you'll choose to explore a bit more deeply next?